So I've been sitting here seriously for like the last 10 minutes trying to figure out the best way to start this video. So yeah, I'm just gonna get started. So hey everybody, my name is Christian. I am starting a Booktube YouTube channel this year. I had it in my head at the beginning of the year to start a channel, but I was too embarrassed to actually start doing videos, so I decided to do a blog, and that's kind of gone to the wayside as well. So I figured, why not jump in, because I really have nothing else to take up my time right now because I'm on summer vacation. So seen a lot of booktubers on YouTube right now that have kind of done these newbie booktuber tag videos, so I figured, what the hell, let's start there, and kind of move in that way. So I am just gonna get into it. So I found these newbie book tag questions on YouTube or on Google, and so I'm just gonna kind of go from there. So I'm not all fancy. A lot of people use their cell phones, but I'm an old-fashioned writer, and so my pretty mermaid notebook. So yeah, so we'll just go ahead and get started. So first question, why did I start this channel? So I am relatively new to Booktube or watching Booktube videos. My husband actually got me into watching them, oddly enough, because I'm more of the reader than he is, but he randomly found Daniel Green's channel on his YouTube stream and started watching him, and kind of fell in love with the books that he reads and his channel, and kind of it's kind of morphed from there. So I've kind of gotten into watching a lot more of those videos as well. So I've met, or not met, but I've found a lot of booktubers, especially in the last couple of weeks, that I really like. So so I started the channel partly just to kind of push myself out of my comfort zone. Obviously, I am not comfortable in front of the camera. I'm filming this on my school iPad. So I'm having to force myself to look at the camera instead of looking at myself in the iPad. And so that's going to be tough to break. So, but I want to connect with people, and, see what they're reading, share what I'm reading, kind of share my experiences as a reader, some struggles, and, just my ideas about the books and the book industry and things like that from my perspective. So, which kind of ties into the next question, what are some fun and unique things you bring to Booktube? So I am an English teacher. I teach at a high school in San Antonio area in Texas. So I think I bring that to the channel. That's maybe unique. I've seen a couple of channels, like the Bookish Realm. I know she's a librarian. A couple other ones are authors as well as booktubers and things like that. I haven't seen any teachers, like English teachers or anything like that on Booktube. I'm sure they're out there. I just haven't found them. But I think that's kind of the different perspective that I can bring to it. I'm not going to sit here and, talk about symbolism and shit with you guys, unless I feel so inclined, but I'm not gonna sit here and read you a 3-page essay over the book, because partly I kind of consider myself the worst English teacher ever. I don't really enjoy classics. There's a few that I do like, but it's very few and far between, and it wasn't until I was an adult that I kind of appreciated the stories in the books and what they did and how they influence other things. But I don't, sit at home in the evenings reading Chaucer, or Shakespeare. It's not my thing. So I guess that's kind of the perspective. I'm awkward as hell, obviously. And so hopefully I can kind of bring like a different perspective to the books and the booktube. Let's see, what was the next question? What are you most excited about for this new channel? So I'm most excited about being able to reach out and kind of join the community, and kind of see what other perspectives are out there. I'm a huge fangirl when it comes to that stuff. Like, you know, I'll go, like me and my other teacher friend, we went to a book festival here in San Antonio, and it was just like books everywhere, and you know, there were tons of people out there, obviously, you know, pre-COVID, and we were so fangirling out because we got to meet Lori Halls Anderson, and I got to like actually take a picture with her. And so like I'm a huge fangirl when it comes to books. And so I like the idea of being able to, you know, reach out to those you know, those people. Like I got to meet Jason Reynolds at a conference that I went to here in San Antonio, and a couple other authors and stuff like that through those conferences. So I'm a huge fangirl. Even like with YouTube, like I sent Daniel Green a book when he was still doing his like book haul kind of videos where he would open up books that people would send him. And he like opened my book in the video and like read my little thing, and I like freaked out. Like I freaked the hell out when my husband showed me the video. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, I'm a huge fangirl. And I like hearing about other books. Like I watch YouTube, or I watch booktube videos, and I'll look at their shelves behind them. Like I'm not really looking at them, I'm looking at their bookshelves behind them. And so, but I buy books like you know, like some women buy shoes and purses. Like I can't walk into a bookstore and not buy something. Like even if it's something that I'm probably never going to read, like I'm not walking out of that bookstore empty-handed, so to speak. So that's kind of what I'm most excited about, is kind of moving my reading into different directions and seeing what is out there and different suggestions. So next question, why do you love reading? So I think like most people that are into reading, it's a form of escape. You know, the fantasy of glimpsing someone else's life, you know, seeing these worlds that are built from scratch. Like it's the closest thing that people can get to true inspiration and true creation, is by creating a fictional world, whether it's something that mirrors our own. And I think it's a way for us to kind of look at problems and find particular solutions, or what we think a solution could be or should be. That's kind of how I phrase it a little bit, you know, with my students and stuff, because of course I get, you know, English is never anyone's favorite subject in school, and they're like, why do we have to read literature? And that's a difficult question to read. You know, you feel empathy for the characters. You know, if they're written well, you know, you feel just as close to those characters as if they were real. So I kind of read anyway for a living as an English teacher. You know, obviously I don't always get to read what I want to read, but that's kind of shifting and changing. But I've always loved stories from an early age, which kind of ties into the next question, which is what book or series got you into reading? So even though, sorry, my phone's going off. Read from a very early age. So I can't say that there was really one particular book series that kind of got me into reading. It was more so just anything and everything. Like if I really had to choose like some of the earliest books that I remember reading, like Bear Stained Bears and shit like that, like Boxcar Children, you know, I even remember in elementary school I was reading like the Barbie books, like they were little chapter books about Barbies. And so I think one of the first series that I remember loving and reading, and I bought like, it was 15 books in this series. It was called Circle of Three, and it was it was like middle school, high school. And it was about these three witches, these three teenage girls in high school who all like found the same spell book, and they joined a coven and all this stuff. And I was really into that in high school because I was a weirdo. So I remember that. I mean, the obvious, Harry Potter, things like that. But I didn't really get into Harry Potter until like later in high school because I'm old as shit. So it wasn't like, oh, I read it when I was in middle school. And no, I started reading Harry Potter really when I was in high school. So yeah. Let's see. What was the next one? What question would you ask your favorite booktubers? So honestly, I'd ask about equipment, to be honest. Because like I said, everything that I'm using to create this Booktube channel is my work equipment, like the iPad that I have, the computer that I have. The only thing that I'm using that is mine is probably my camera for like the thumbnails, or my phone for stuff like that. So I guess just equipment, like what, I'm a broke ass teacher, so I'm not going to be spending, $1,000 on a computer or a camera. So just kind of like what's out there, what's the best way to kind of film and stuff like that. And obviously just being comfortable in front of the camera, because again, I'm not looking at the camera, I'm looking at my face. So just being comfortable with the camera, I guess. And I think if I got an actual camera, I would be okay with not looking at myself. I almost want to cover the picture, so I'm forced to kind of look ahead, because I'm not looking at you, the viewer. I'm looking at myself. So sorry, I'm awkward as shit. So, and then maybe some editing software, like what's out there, because again, I'm using iMovies for this. So just kind of what's out there, what do you guys use, that kind of thing. So some challenges that I see building this this channel is, I think, just deadline. Like I want to get into this to have fun. I'm not expecting to make money off of it. I'd like a few subscribers, obviously, but I'm not making a living out of this. So I think making deadlines for myself to like put videos out and make sure that, if you're going to subscribe to me, obviously you want to hear more about my content and more from me. But, is that going to like force me to have to read and finish this book? Because that's oftentimes, even with my students and myself as well, like if I'm on a deadline to read something, then it's not enjoyable, and I don't want that to happen. Like I'd rather not have the channel and just continue reading, because I go through like slumps of reading where I'm like voraciously reading. Like I'll read like 3 or 4 books, back to back to back, and then there's times where I can't even remember the last book that I read. Also, I guess like just time management is what I think I'll struggle with most if I have to go back to school, because obviously with COVID, my campus was shut down in the last quarter of the year, and so I worked from home, which, to be honest, wasn't that difficult. Some teachers had some issues just because they had kids at home as well, but I don't have any kids, so I was mostly sitting around in my PJs and posting like one thing a day, and that's it, and troubleshooting here and there. But it wasn't that difficult, so I had a lot of time on my hands. So if we go back to that kind of situation in the fall, or if we do go back to like regular school as normal, just being able to I guess, time manage. So, because grading sucks. Grading essays suck, and it's time consuming. So, I thought this question was kind of weird. Like, where do you read? Like, I mean, do people have like a particular like place that they read? Like one little corner? Like this right here is kind of my like library, my office off my bedroom. But yeah, I pretty much read anywhere, like in bed, on the couch, in the car, like waiting, for a doctor's appointment. Like, I can pretty much take a book anywhere. So yeah, I read anywhere, I guess. And then what do I typically read? So historically, I've read more YA than I've read anything else. Not saying that I'm exclusively YA, but I tend to go more for YA. I don't know why. Like, I think the stories are just more fun, so to speak. And it's funny because I almost kind of flipped. Like when I was in high school, I read more adult books. Now I read like smutty romance novels in high school. Like I read shit that I probably shouldn't have been reading at that age. But yeah, I read more like adult romance in high school than I did anything else. It wasn't until recently that adult or young adult fantasy or young adult literature started becoming, more prevalent. And of course, other people have done videos of like the new YA and, that kind of thing, and the shift where it's not really YA, it's just marketed for YA. So yeah. But I read all kinds of stuff. Dan Brown, Rochelle Mead, who does YA, but she also has adult series. And even my adult stuff, I tend to read more fantasy, sci-fi, or paranormal romance and stuff like that. Like I'm a sucker for like smutty romance, pretty much. And so, yeah, I'm trying to kind of branch out a little bit for like what I'm reading and who I'm reading. So I'll kind of like do a couple of videos on some stuff that I've read recently that's kind of pushed me out of my comfort zone, so to speak, with what I read. But yeah, so if you want to continue watching me and see what I come up with, I'm gonna try to put up a couple videos. I don't have like a set schedule of like I put videos every Tuesday, Wednesday at this time. Like I'm probably not going to be that scheduled or set in stone. It's just gonna be when I get shit out and when I have time. So yeah, thank you guys for showing up. Sorry I'm awkward as shit, and I guess we will see you later.